How on earth am I supposed to have joy when everything around me seems to suck? If you look around the world, even just in our country, inflation's high, prices are way too high, people aren't getting paid as much, the economy's not doing so good, and so people tend to ask God, where is this joy supposed to come from? The church that I pastor, we've been looking at the book of James, and that book starts with this absurd claim. It says that we should count it all the joy when we meet trials of various kinds. I thought for a long time this would be impossible, but really when you dig a little bit deeper, it turns out that this passage holds the secret weapon that we need to really weather any storm in our life. And I was looking at the original context of this letter, and it was written to the early church. So what happened was when Jesus went back to heaven, he ascended, the church was formed in Jerusalem, led by Peter and James and other apostles. And we have the story in Acts chapter 2 of the Pentecost. But then we get to chapter 11 of the book of Acts, and there's this great persecution that breaks out in the church. So people flee from the Jerusalem to all over the empire, the Roman Empire, to Cyprus and Antioch and all these other cities. So as they were fleeing, they were becoming refugees in these different cities, and they were trying to establish a new home, jobs, kids in a hostile environment. I personally immigrated to the US in the 90s, and I remember going through some of that hardship coming into this country, just trying to learn English. And as a kindergartner, I walked into school, and it didn't help that my mom, she picked up a pair of these pink Barbie boots at some clothing drive that a local church was holding for immigrants, and she made me wear those boots. And I walked into class and remember multiple kids just laughing at me. Why are you wearing pink boots? And maybe that'd be a great look in 2025, but in 93, that was not celebrated and it wasn't very cool. So this church is scattered. People are in new cities, sometimes in completely different cultures, and they're facing two challenges. One, they're facing high prices, and then two, they're paying way too much money for rent. I think 100% of the population in America can relate to this right now because we're all paying too much for rent and way too much for groceries. These Christians were actually failing to put their trust in Jesus. So when hardship hit, instead of loving their enemy and praying for those people who persecuted them, they ended up being frustrated, lashing out in anger. And James is saying, hey, you have to go the extra mile. And here lies the secret. The hardships that we have in our lives are not meant to crush us. They are meant to reveal in us what we need in God. James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. Count it all the joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith will produce steadfastness. And then he goes on to say that the steadfastness that you have when it has its full effect, it will put you in a position where you will lack nothing. I tend to mix up the words joy and happiness. I actually think they're the same word, but happiness is not the same as joy. Happiness is an emotion that we have when everything around us goes according to our plans. We get a raise at work, our kids are doing well at school, we're healthy, we're achieving all of our goals, we're climbing the social ladder, we're taking that extra vacation and putting away into retirement. Joy does not depend on circumstances to be present in life. Whereas happiness is a great feeling because things are going well, joy is actually rooted not in circumstances, but in a promise that has been guaranteed that in the future, regardless of what happens in this life, we will be with Jesus in the final resurrection, and his new heaven and new earth will come down, and we will be part of that new kingdom. So whatever happens in life, whether it's good or bad, we can still hold on to joy. That's really what that is. Even if our current life circumstances are hot garbage, even if we've been dumped by a girlfriend or a boyfriend, even if we've lost our job and we've had a car loan that's in default and the car's been repoed, that doesn't matter, because even if we don't feel happy in that situation, the joy we have in Christ in the future is guaranteed. And I think that's what James is trying to say. And he goes on to say that this type of joy comes even in the middle of hardships, because the hardships are like a testing of the faith. And the word that he used there, test, shows up in the Old Testament a couple of times when authors of various books talk about gold being refined or tested in fire. When you put gold into fire, what it tends to do is just burn away the imperfections, and a better, more pure version of the gold comes out. So what James is saying here is the hardships themselves are kind of like an X-ray machine for your soul. They show the imperfections, and then the hardship burns away at those. And so you come out of the hardship a little bit more patient, a little bit more kind, a little bit more compassionate towards other people. You still might not have a happy situation, but you still have joy. One of the tests that I run is when something happens in my life and I don't like it, I try to calm my head and ask myself, what emotion did that hardship bring out of you? Let's say I got rear-ended in traffic. What emotion does that hardship bring out? Well, first of all, I'm mad. I'm frustrated. The car is damaged. But more importantly, I'm upset because I'm always running from A to B to C. And the biggest thing for me is when I got rear-ended was I was upset that my schedule was screwed up. And I wanted to kill the kid who did it because he wasn't paying attention and it was on his phone. And I immediately started judging this kid like, how dare you? You're so dumb. You're so incompetent. Why would you ever do that? I remember walking out of my car and the kid was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. And he looked terrified. I could tell this kid was like, I don't know, second day behind the wheel. He was scared. He's like, my mom's going to kill me. And I just remember having that conversation with him and calming him down and like, hey, get out of the street. You're going to get hit by the car. And realizing that in that moment, God wanted me to display patience, kindness, and charity and some grace in that hardship. But really, the hardship revealed in me that my patience, I thought it was at a level of 50, was really at a level 10. And so now I know what to pray about. Lord, I actually don't have patience. Help me have more. So that's what I think about this passage. It's not easy, but I also think that because we have faith in Jesus and he has guaranteed a bright future for us, we can still have joy in the middle of suffering. I hope this was an encouraging video for you. Again, hit like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.